Hey guys, how you doing? Joey Batista here. Hey, thanks for joining the channel. Before we get going, if you find value in the information here today, subscribe or share it with a friend. Let's dive right in. Listen, this is a very popular topic. 3 mandatory steps to a proper meeting. Hey, let's call it what it is. We all know, everybody's read about organizational clarity. You've studied, you want to grow as a leader. And there's a big narrative in there where people are like, oh, well, meetings are bad. If you got a 7-minute meeting or a 14-minute meeting or a 13-minute meeting or whatever the case may be. Well, here's the thing, okay? We can dive into some other things, but we'll allow some other framework here. I'm going to drop some bonus rounds in here. So the first thing is you want to go in with an agenda. You want to make sure that you have an agenda for a meeting. Meaning, what information do you want them to take out of the meeting? Okay? There's going to be information, right? There should be something. You're having a meeting. We're not just having a meeting for the sake of having a meeting. We're having a meeting because there's vital communication. Because remember, our people want engagement. So when people say, don't have a meeting, we can Snapchat it to them. We can send it to them on a meme. Hey guys, listen, we all know that mindset is the ultimate edge as an entrepreneur. So what I've done is I've taken my personal playbook that I've used for decades and I've broken it down into a PDF and it's yours, absolutely free. So click the link below. But people at the end of the day, we want to be informed. We don't want to be put in the dark. One of my biggest challenges is moving as a fast entrepreneur and doing things. You're like, hey, I need to know what's going on around here. I'm like, that's probably a good idea, right? We have the same common goal and your help is needed. Your help is needed in achieving this goal. We can't do it alone. So how are we going to do it? So we're going to have an agenda to that meeting. And I'm going to go ahead, stick with me to the end, okay? Because I got a bonus round for you that's going to bring it all together that only the pros know. This is world-class, best of the best. I want you to understand something is I've been doing this for almost 3 decades. I've spent millions of dollars in coaching and development. I've ran multiple companies, hundreds and $1 billion in sales. All I'm trying to convey to you is the importance of the information in here and how easy it is to get disconnected. Because people will have an opinion about this topic, however, they haven't led teams. We don't count the virtual world as building a team and dealing with people. If you have the luxury of doing that, God bless you, have a good time. But what we're talking about is real people dealing with real teams that want to engage them and have a meeting that they can go in and electrify them, give them good information, make them feel seen and heard and engaged and valued. It's very simple. You start with an agenda. You go in there, what do? Hey guys, how you doing? Today we're going to talk about client fulfillment and why it's so vitally important and the processes that we're going to take necessary to improve our clients' experience so we can win long-term with increased retention and or repeat or referral business. I'm just giving you a hypothetical scenario. So then you're going to tell them, okay, guys, this is exactly how we do it. I want you to go ahead and take said client. When they're done, I want you to send them said email. I want you to set said appointment. I want you to do this. So you break down, you tell them what it is. So you have the agenda, you tell them what you're going to tell them, then you get into the nitty-gritty. The devil's in the details, right? The nuances. See, remember, business, people go in there, it's funny because especially as I'm coaching and working with businesses, people think they know the answers. Like they're like, oh, well, I know that. I'm already there. I already know that. Most people don't have a clue, respectfully. They don't have a clue. They cannot bring it all together and they don't know how to do it to ultimately take it and give it to someone else to get them to grow and scale their company without disruption while generating revenue. And how do you do that? You do that through communicating in meetings. So you tell them, you go through it, you go in there and you say, hey, right? And we get to the bonus round. This is where it's going to get fun. This is where the game changer is. It took me 2 decades to figure this out, but I was fortunate enough. I had a mentor. He's a 50-year business coach. It was real methodical that shared this information with me. I went back and I did it and I realized my communication went up by 1,000,000%. It was me and how I was communicated. This is a big value and an actionable step. So then you go in there and tell them it again. That don't mean I always do it either, but I should. So it's a technique. These are techniques that you use in order to get to where you want to go. So at this point in time, you came in, you had the meeting, you told them what you were going to tell them, right? You said, this is what we're going to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Then you went ahead and you broke it down. You went in, you talked about it. You went through all the details. You gave the actionable steps. You told each and individual person and or the team collectively what you wanted them to take away from the meeting, what actionable steps you wanted them to achieve. Then you told them again to make sure there's clarity. Now here's where the magic happens. Here's the bonus round, ladies and gentlemen. Now you got to ask them what they heard. Because one of the things we've learned as little kids, I think some of us that went to school here in the States, they always used to do an exercise when I was a kid coming up. They'd put you in a circle and they would go around and they'd say, hey, tell this person. And then they would go around, and by the time it was like, yeah, Charles has a red crayon. By the time it got around to the other side, somebody's eating cupcakes in Bolivia. And this is just how communication works, because a little bit of the way it goes around, and it gets a little bit twisted. So, and everybody hears something different. So it's vitally important to this great meeting, this world-class meeting, is you want the engagement. See, you want to be able to access, you want to have the framework to access the talent in the room. How do you get their engagement, and how do you tap in to their level of genius? How do you take people that have different skill sets that they don't have? Well, now you're going to go around the room and you're going to ask them what they heard. What did you hear? Tell me what you heard. That way you have the opportunity to reframe your message specifically to that individual. See, this is the thing. Now, some of you have been properly trained, properly educated, properly done everything before you got into entrepreneurship. That represents a very small portion of entrepreneurs. Most people get into entrepreneurship because they just are fighting and bursting at the seams. Now, there are some people at the private equity sector, stuff like that, where they came in and they've learned these foundational skills. Maybe they haven't practiced them, but they've at least been introduced to them. When you're going around and people are telling you, you can now say, well, yes, that's good. However, the main priority is A. The second thing is B. And you know what? I like that. That's really good that you contributed and you took that away from that. I wasn't thinking about that, but that's something that we're going to go ahead and add to the team. See, at the same point in time, sometimes you're processing. That's one of the greatest skills when you go in. One of the things that I learned, whether you're processing issues, processing ideas, the actual technique, and actually that's another conversation for another time as well, but actually processing, but you're going through. So here's the thing. You'll go through and you'll reframe it up and you'll make sure that they heard what it was. And let's bring it all together. You came in, hopefully what should be happening right now is you're like, hey, you know what? We went in, you looked at a couple videos, you saw some other stuff, you have a new initiative, and you need to rally the troops to get their engagement and their buy-in. You want to rally them. So you come in, you bring them in. First, you build your agenda because you want to make sure less is more and you want to stay on topic. You go through, you build your agenda. When you're done building your agenda, you bring everybody in, you have the meeting. Now you're having an efficient meeting. Now you can go in and have, believe it or not, you can spend more time instead of communicating it. You can spend more time on the fourth bonus round making sure that it's framed. So you tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them again, and then you ask them what they heard. That's ultimately the thing. So either which way, I hope you find a ton of value in this video. It should be a lot of video, a lot of value in a short period of time. I want you to try it and click the, hey, do me a favor. If you found value in the video here today, please subscribe. And I'm going to go ahead, listen, when you go in here, we know one thing that's for certain. To go in, some of you aren't comfortable having meetings. You're just not comfortable going in, getting up in front of people. This framework will not only help you, but what I've done is I'm going to go ahead and attach a free PDF, and it's going to make sure that you have an unstoppable mindset. I'll see you. Have a good day.